A deal on Dickens, who could resist? A stack of Austen, warmly kissed. Golden Age crime tales twist and turn, every page a treasure to learn. Books keep coming home with me, piles so tall they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea, reading always feels so free.
Hi, my name is Talia. Welcome to Talia Nerds Out. It's been a little while since I've recorded. I don't know if that's going to show up in the posting schedule simply because I always have some videos, on the back burner that need to be posted. So who knows when this one will be going up. As of recording, it is June 21st, around 3 a.m., which is a fairly normal time for me posting. I have like the beginnings of what feels like it might be a migraine coming on, but wanted to get some of these videos recorded so I can put away some books that I've been sort of accumulating. This particular video is going to be for my folklore books, and I'm going to start off with what might not be traditionally considered folklore, but I know that it was considered to be so by the author, or that was his intention in writing it, so I will include it here. So I have filled out my collection for Lord of the Rings, for Tolkien's books. I already had the blue Silmarillion from the same collection, although it had the bright green pages and the text here. This is The Hobbit, belonging to that same collection, and it too includes Tolkien's own artwork. I look forward to reading it in this format because my other one is a paperback that is a little bit beaten up. This one is the full Lord of the Rings, the way Tolkien intended it to be. And like both my edition of The Hobbit and of the Silmarillion, it includes maps, which is nice because I actually prefer the fact that the maps are separate from the work. I'm not usually a map person, but if I'm going to have maps, I prefer not to be flipping back and forth for them. It's easier to be able to pull out an insert and kind of have it open beside me if I choose to make use of it. And like Silmarillion, it has two maps. So that one focused more on Mordor, and this one's a little bit more of a wider spread. I think I only have one in my Hobbit. One map. Yeah, my Hobbit only has the one map. And a great portion of that map is taken up by Mirkwood, which makes sense. And this too has Tolkien's artwork. Oh, I want to show the book without its dust jacket. So here's The Hobbit without its dust jacket. Quite lovely. It also has a blue ribbon. I can't remember how well my Silmarillion ribbon has held out. I want to say I frayed it a little bit. Now here is, first of all, before I take the dust jacket off, here's my Lord of the Rings with the dust jacket, without the dust jacket, so it has a hole in the dust jacket, without the dust jacket. Isn't that beautiful? I caught it on a sale. It was one of those buy one, get one 50% off sales. And I took advantage of it to buy a gift for my mom and then get myself the 50% off. But I want to find one of the pictures because I'm pretty sure it has Tolkien's artwork as well. Oh, here we go. Yeah, it also includes Tolkien's art. me put his map away. Pretty sure this one belongs to... Yeah, this one belongs to Lord of the Rings. So those are the other ones in my Tolkien collection. And the ribbon for this one is silver. Now, related to that is... Let me move this a little bit and see if I can access... Okay. This was mentioned on one of the Tolkien Tubes channels I watch. I want to say... I can't remember if Tolkien Lore mentioned this or if this was mentioned by Girl Next Gondor. One of the two of them mentioned this. But Exploring J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit, I want to say this was Tolkien Lore, by Corey Olsen. And it looks like it goes through chapter by chapter of The Hobbit and then just really digs into it, which should be interesting next time I read The Hobbit. Kind of like a commentary. Now into the more traditional folklore. Now, last time I had gone into the Saga of the Volsungs with the Saga of Ragnar Lothbrok. I had engaged with it, I want to say it was by audiobook, so I didn't really absorb a lot of it. I'd like to actually be able to engage with it in a way that I can actually absorb the... Sorry, that light tends to flicker. I'd like to engage with this in a way that I can actually absorb more of it. The translator and the writer of the introduction is Jackson Crawford. I follow his YouTube channel as well. So I, in general, like his stuff. He was recommended to me by someone in Historathon. I can't remember exactly who it was. It was sometime last year that he was recommended. So I won't be reading it this year. I'm not sure when I will next read it, but I look forward to when I do, because I really feel like I didn't absorb as much of the story as I wish I would have. Then I guess I'll go on with the Pantheon Fairy Tale and Folklore Library. Well, I think I've mentioned before, I am attempting to collect as much of the Pantheon Fairy Tale and Folklore Library collection that I can. What I didn't realize when I was going through some of my books... What is going on with that light? Hopefully that light's not about to go out. Anyway, I might end up needing a new battery there. Not a new battery, a new bulb there. Anyway, this is one that I didn't realize I had. I was going through some of my books downstairs. Every once in a while, I'll go through and see if there's anything that I am looking to maybe unhaul in the future. And just sort of a reminder of what I have. And when I was going through, I remember reading this, but I didn't realize that this was a Pantheon Fairy Tale and Folklore Library book. And I've had this quite a while. It was, I want to say, a Christmas gift several years back. So I actually started this collection quite a while ago without realizing it. So I'm really glad I didn't pick up this book without realizing I already had it. So that was rather exciting to have this unexpected find. And I'm pretty sure it was this one that I read versus my Kindle version of Neil Gaiman. I had to think about it for a second because I'm actually more familiar with Neil Gaiman's work, or I first engaged with Neil Gaiman's work in comics, so I had to think about his name for his work in Norse mythology. The comic I definitely remember reading of his was called, what was it? It was a medieval one. The title of the book was A Medieval Year, and if I remember, I will put the cover right here. And it was the Marvel Universe, but a sort of what if this occurred in medieval times. So you had like Daredevil Matt Murdock was a blind bard. You had Natasha Romanoff as this sort of, well, I mean, not much different than what she is currently, but put that in a different time context. Let me choose a different character. Matt's is the one I remember best. I'd have to read it again because it's been a very long time. Matt's is really one I remember best. And the light went out. I will have to replace that bulb. I don't feel like getting up right now. Ooh, that was a noise. Anyway, but Neil Gaiman also has written books on Norse mythology. But I only have the Kindle version of his Norse mythology book. But I believe this is the one I actually had read. The one that was put together and retold by Kevin Crossley Holland. Continuing down my Pantheon collection. Swedish Folk Tales and Legends. And this is translated and edited by Lone Thijssen Blecker and George Blecker. And there it is, Pantheon Books. It didn't say it right across the top, which is why I had to be like, wait a second, I could have sworn this is the Pantheon. Yeah, this belongs to the Pantheon Folklore, Fairy Tale and Folklore Library as well. Even though it doesn't say it across the cover. And I don't know really anything. Ah, there we go. The artwork that I have come to look for these editions is the artwork is different for each one of the cultures, which I really appreciate. I just want to see, do I have any in? There's got to be some in my Norse one. In my, let's see. Okay, looks like my Norse one just has like these little ones here, which is mildly disappointing that I only get like this little bit of artwork. Oh, here we go. Just slightly more there. Then, at first I wasn't going to pick this one up because I thought it was just a slightly different way of wording the Norwegian one. But in reality, the Northern Tales, traditional stories of Eskimo and Indian peoples. And so I'm like, oh, okay. Then it's a little bit different. It's different than what I already have. Because I didn't want to pick up yet another Norwegian, Swedish, because I already have Scandinavian folk and fairy tales over here. I have Norwegian, I have Swedish, and I was like, well, I want to make sure I'm not just like picking up some of the same tales over and over again. But this is a different culture entirely. Or different cultures because it's got Eskimo and Indian peoples. And then I'll make sure I have all the Pantheon ones here. Sorry about that. In an attempt to not make books fall, I made books fall. So, this one, again, in the Pantheon Fairy Tale and Folklore Library, these are Yiddish folk tales. Edited by Beatrice Silverman, Weinrich, and translated by Leonard Wolf. So, let's see what artwork I get for this one. So, this is a lot more, makes me think more of the ones I have in my American West, where it's a silhouette. Yeah, it actually reminds me quite a bit of the one from the American West. And I know absolutely nothing about Yiddish tales, so this should be interesting. Let me move some of these books so I can make some space for the next ones I need to show. Let's see. And I guess favorite from around the world. Chinese, Yiddish, wives' fairy tales. I'm going to wait to put German because I think I can probably put German here. Oh, I forgot to re-show another find. I was looking for a book on, I was trying to find one of my bird bookmarks. And while I was looking for it, I rediscovered my bedside book of birds, which is actually a folklore book. So it goes through like different folk tales and parables about birds, and it also has fun artwork in it. So this has moved to my folklore section since it is really a folklore book, just focused on birds specifically. I'm going to put Grimm's on top of the bird one right now. Now next, to be shown for folklore, is going to be my, actually, no, Grimm's going to move because I need that spot. Okay. Oh, don't fall. It fell. They all fell down. Come back here. So these are my other American folklore. So as I have mentioned previously, I am currently reading Legends and Tales of the American West. And stay. I realized, like, oh yeah, I really, like, America's huge. We have a great area that we can have all this folklore. And other than the West, you know, that's probably the most I know about our folklore. And even that, I don't know nearly as much as I'd like. So I started looking. And the first one that came up for me was A Treasury of New England Folklore. And actually, looks really nice for a used book. Now, this doesn't have all the nice artwork that the Pantheon ones do, but something I've noticed with this particular collection, this is a collection, I have a couple of his. This is a couple of collections that are edited by B.A. Botkin, and he tends to include in the back songs and jingles, which include like sheet music. Now, I don't read music, but I can see where that might be fun for somebody who does. And it gives oh good heavens, some of that sheet, like some of the lyrics for that sheet music is teeny tiny. But it gives a whole nother look into the culture, into our folklore, because songs and singing is a definite aspect of that. Let's go ahead and put you here. Then I think I might move Italian and French as well, because down here might be my English speaking. There we go. Italian and French up here above Grimm's. There we go. Because I have several other American ones. So this one is Tales of the Great Lakes. Stories from Illinois, Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. And why do we have it up in flames? Oh, wasn't there a Great Chicago Fire? Oh, look, isn't that pretty? Oh, I like the setup of this particular one. It makes me think of the way... Are these folktales or just tales? This might not actually be folktales. These might be actual historical tales. Because these look like newspaper. Yeah, Scribner's Monthly, September 1875. These might actually be... Yeah, because these are photographs. So this doesn't belong in my folktales area. Oh, interesting. So this is the Outing magazine. Jack Boyd, Master Riverman. We got some pictures of the welders of axe and cant hook. So this is actually not in folklore. This will go in my history. Although this is in... When is this all set? Does this give me a good time period? Because I'm wondering... That's 1870s. There, let's see. Give me something else. Story of the Copper Mine. fishing in, so this is 1890 here, fishing and hunting in the Northwest. Clearinghouse for tramps. So, yeah, these look like just different articles that people wrote, and then they would have illustrations. I want to see if I can find another good one. So, angling in the Middle West. What is angling? It sounds like a fishing sort of thing. Yeah, exactly. It is a fishing sort of thing. Making the White City. Okay, so I'm going to have to set this aside into the history area. It wasn't quite what I expected it to be, but that's still quite cool. Now, this one here is folklore. This is a treasury of railroad folklore, stories, tall tales, traditions, ballads, and songs of the American Railroad. So, let's see about if this one has any artwork. Now, some of the stories are quite short. For these, like, you might have a couple on a page, and I lost the page I was on that. Well, let's see. Here's... this is a complete length of this particular story. So that's a very short story. And this could really go across the country. Oh, so there's an introduction in the middle of the work? What's with that? Is it introduction to section? Okay, so yeah, it looks like each section has introduction. So like vanishing types, there's an introduction. Let's see, there might be an introduction at the beginning. Yeah, apprentice years, introduction. So yeah, each little section has its own introduction. So this one is folklore and then can go here. Then I have, this is another B.A. Botkin. So that's the same guy who did this New England one. And this is a treasury of Southern folklore. And like the New England one, it has music in the back. A lot of it... there's quite a, so there's songs of the Confederacy. I want to say I saw some, some slave songs. John Henry. It's a little bit of an old book smell to it. Mythical places. I think a lot of these tales do have a connection to either slavery or... a lot of it seems to have a connection with slavery. Then this one was interesting. This is Foxfire Story, and this is oral tradition in the Southern Appalachia. Appalachia? I know there's also books about like cryptids and stuff for the Southern Appalachia, but I just went with this one. And it looks like what this was like a project with a bunch of, I gathered it was like college students, and they would go and they would interview a lot of, it sounds like older people, and ask them about their folklore. And so it was a sharing of oral tradition, which is really kind of cool. And some of the stories, like, I mean, right here, there's 4 stories over these 2 pages. And it looks like they tried to keep it in the speech patterns of the locals who were talking to them. There's songs in here. You have pictures of some of the people that they interviewed. As well as the tales, you also had the actual interviews in here. So it's a little bit different than some of the folklore books I have here, but there is actual folklore in here. So it still gets to go over here. And the last folklore book I have to show is Gesta Romanorum, entertaining stories told by monks and fireside recreation. Entertaining stories told by monks as fireside recreation and applied in their discourses. And it's put out by Courrier-Sous Press. And so you'd have a tale. So let's of the death of Vice. So here's a little short folk tale, and then it has the application. let's see. Of a seedy and sloth, same idea. Now, there's no artwork in this. And even though the titles aren't necessarily the most engaging for each of the folkloric stories, these are actual folk tales. Because if you heard the title of tale, gosh, I hate Roman numerals, XLV, so that's if I remember what XLV, let me see. So, okay, so that's 3 X's, that's 30. So, XL, is that 40? That might be 40. Yeah. So, okay, so this is tale 45. Of the good who alone will enter the kingdom of heaven. That's a story name. That sounds rather, uninspiring, or rather like it'd be a dull story. But it now goes into actual folkloric, where instead of sounding like a sermon alone, you have this tale of a wise and rich a wise and rich king who has a beloved but not loving wife. It talks about illegitimate sons that she had, and then it talks about the strife between the surviving sons and just advice that they were given and how that goes forward. So if you read the actual story, it has a very typical folkloric feel. This sounds like something that I could have read in Russian or Norwegian folklore, and it would have been just as in place. It's just the title of the tale itself is really kind of dull. Now, unlike maybe the Russian or Norwegian folklore that it could have shown up in, it has an application at the end where then the monk gives a mini sermon about that. Now, from what I understand, not all editions of Gesta Romanorum includes the commentary at the end. What they say in the back is that among the great literary treasures of Christendom, Gesta Romanorum stands as a testament to the depth of the medieval Catholic mind. Compiled by monastic scholars in the 13th and 14th centuries, this collection of moralized tales illuminates virtue and vice through vivid allegory. From kings and knights to hermits and sinners, these narratives portray the relentless battle of the spiritual life. Drawing upon sacred scripture, the lives of the saints, and medieval legend, Gesta Romanorum offers timeless parables that once instructed the faithful and continue to inspire readers today. This edition faithfully restores the moral reflections that follow each tale, preserving the work's authentic Catholic character. A classic beloved by saints, scholars, and storytellers, Gesta Romanorum remains essential reading for those devoted to Catholic tradition, ensuring its lessons endure for generations to come. And I kind of feel like, okay, well, if you're going to release the tales, include its full context, which would include the commentary that went with them and were intended to go with them. Now, you could argue I do have a bias because I myself am Catholic, but I would feel like the stories would be missing something if their full context and their full presentation is missing. Now, I believe I have maybe 2 more folklore books that I'm missing, and then that should fill out my collection unless something surprises me. Thank you very much for joining me for this folklore book haul video. Hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you again for the next video. God bless. Bye.
Books keep coming home with me, piles so tall they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea, reading always feels so free.